Here we go. Hey, I'm Mike Morales here in San Antonio. You're listening and watching to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media, all of our channels. I'm here in San Antonio. That gentleman out there is
Jim Johnston in Youngstown, Ohio.
now, Jim and I have the distinct pleasure of tasting and dissecting today a mezcal that's not available yet in the United States, but is. I love their packaging, though. What do you think that right off the bat, packaging for
the label's beautiful. I mean, it's the label itself is gorgeous. You can tell the quality of the paper on the label, the printing. It's got a little bit of a raised, almost press printing on it.
Yeah,
and there's a little spot for a note on the back, a dedicatoria on the back of the bottle that you can write a little message. Or, don't touch, whatever you want to write on it.
The gentleman who made this happen, his name was Oscar Lopez. I believe he might be the importer. He made that happen. He wrote us a nice little note and says, we actually received this during the holidays.
Yeah.
We're playing with the timeline here, as we have. And we had to, of course, save it for 2020. Because at that point we had already closed out our season for 2019. This is a Joven Mezcal Artesanal Espadín, and as for those of you who follow what's going on in the mezcal industry, they now have a hologram sticker that you can snap on your phone, and it will give you all the information that you see on the label. Some of them have minimal information. It's only necessary on the label. Some of them will give you even more. Okay, so it's always worth it to carry your phone with you when you go to the liquor store and you're checking out mezcals. This one, I'm going to flip it around and we're going to pour it first, taste it, because you and I have had some really excellent mezcals, and then we'll work a little bit more on the back end. We'll let you know a little bit more about what we know about this.
And I've got to say, as much as it's in Spanish and I know habla what I needed to translate, there's plenty of information on the back of this bottle about the process and the origin and everything like that. So it's not, they're not hiding anything from you.
No. In fact, it's really neat that the CRM, which is basically the Mezcal Regulatory Council, now requires these brands to carry a holographic sticker to give more information, or at least to give the illusion of more transparency. And some of them fill out the minimal information, and others fill out more. And you'd be surprised which brands fill out even more. The ones
I can just tell you right now, on Lakes and Tears, I poured that, and that's what just came down the glass on that one. So.
Oh. We're both using our Stasel Jarritos for mezcal, for higher ABV agave spirits. This is pristine, man. This is clean.
Really is.
This is some beautiful Legs and Tears. Very nice. And it's a slow.
Look at how that's holding up there.
Yeah. It's a slow cling on this glass. The Legs and Tears are very, very taking their time to make it down to the rest of the liquid. Oh, wow. That's very gentle. It's very pleasant on the nose.
Yeah, it's a very mellow. You get that smoke, but it doesn't have a little bit of the bite that some of the mezcal smoke smell has when you first get that nose.
It's more plant, and it's almost floral. I'm really surprised how floral. There's a combination of plant and floral, not fruit, floral.
So what I would liken this to is almost on the scotches that I really enjoy with the peat smoke. The peat is not wood. It's got that vegetal organic material in it, so that you get a little less of the charcoal ash smoke smell and a little bit more of the earthy vegetal smoke smell. And I think that's what this has got.
Could be. We're gonna dissect the label here shortly, because again, the information is only minimal. That's all that's required by the CRM. But I'm really digging the nose on this thing. It's very pleasant.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's lots of baked I'm sure it's not just baked, it's pit roasted because I don't have, let me check the label just to make sure what I'm smelling here. Because it says they're using a taona, piedra taona. It's the cocimiento es horno de piedra bajo tierra. So that means it's pit roasted. It is espadín. The fermentation is madera con fibra de agave. So they're throwing the agave fibers in wooden vats for natural fermenting. And the distillation is alambique de cobre. So it's copper pot distilled. It's everything you want. Yeah, it's everything you want in an artisanal mezcal.
Look at that. That's not moving at all.
That's weird, man. That's some thick. I wonder what the, let's just dive in because I wonder what the mouthfeel is like. Oh wow.
Wow.
You know, it's sweet on the intake.
Yeah.
It's of course at a higher ABV. The alcohol by volume on this is
40%.
It's only 40.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It feels a way stronger.
And honestly, I thought at a 40 alcohol by volume, and with that nose, that smoke is so subtle on this.
Yeah, it's
there,
more,
but it's not biting.
No, it's more on the palate. A lot of times, a lot of these that are at lower ABVs. Well, it depends on the hand of the maker, but you'll taste the smoke not necessarily on the nose, but you'll taste it on the palate. For me, anyway.
And you know what? It instead of right up front, it's a little bit of the mid palate, and then you've got a little smoke on the finish.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not a real long finish for me, but it's enough that with that the smoke flavor following it, you get a nice smooth finish on the end of it.
The retro nasal is very pleasant. It's almost, but you know, it's Jim. It's like it's stronger than it really is. You know, it's heartier.
Yeah.
The flavor and the nose and the intake, they act like mezcals at higher ABVs, because you and I have had some really beautiful mezcals at 40, 46, 48 ABV,
right?
That aren't as potent as this one, and this again, not a bad thing.
I mean, my God.
Yeah, see, that's why the smoke is coating the palate for me, but it's hardly noticeable on the nose.
And that sweetness, for just a second, transitions for me kind of right in the mid to the back. A little mint kick that I believe is the smoke coming through, but just a little menthol kick right before the finish. It's very subtle, but it's everything about this is kind of you can sip this and take it in, hold it in your mouth, take it all the way down, and not a bit of it is going to get you to a point where you're like, ooh, that, you know.
Yeah.
So smooth the whole way through.
You're not making that. It's so approachable, and yet it's robust. You know, it's a robust flavor profile. It's beefy, and that's why I thought for sure, you know, again, we're kind of flipping things over because instead of giving you all the background information before we taste it, we taste it first, and now we're giving you background information.
Right. Now,
I thought this was at a higher ABV. It's all espadín. It's only 80 proof.
It looks like a 48 with the way that zero is printed there.
Yeah.
When you first glance at it.
The Maestro Mezcalero, for those of you who are following some people follow mezcaleros like people follow jockeys or follow like tequila master distillers as well. Maestro Mezcalero Don Lucio Morales, no relation. Wow, this is so flavorful, though.
It is, and as far as what you said with it is extremely approachable. It's got a ton of depth and complexity in the flavor, but none of the flavor profiles stand out in a way that Mezcal for first timers can probably be off-putting depending on flavor profiles that stick out for them, where they notice, too smoky, it's too. This is a really nice marriage of all the flavors in a very smooth, subtle, nothing's going to grab you, but the whole way through, you catch all the elements you're supposed to,
Yep.
and they're really well done. I mean, I'm just, the mouthfeel on this is not as full as this would suggest.
Yeah.
But it is enough, and with that smoke and with that little bit of menthol, that it stays with you the whole way down. I really enjoy this.
It's really well balanced. I'm shocked that it's so robust that you, without looking at the label, you think it was at 42, 46, 48 ABV.
Right.
And who Lucio Morales, the Maestro Mezcalero, really has done a beautiful job of bringing the plant and all the elements in a nice balanced. This is so well balanced. I'm really shocked, because you could put this against some of the ones that are higher ABV and it would hold its own.
It would. And I'm noticing just now, and this is just something that, and maybe it's because I've had it recently, but now that I'm smelling it again after having tasted it, had a little bit of the retronasal, everything like that, I get a little bit of what I would say is the smoke sweetness that you taste in barbecue sauce and smell in barbecue sauce on the nose here, because it's got a little more sweetness in the nose that is almost like when you have the hickory and the molasses and that smoke is tempered by the sweetness of the plant, of the agave, actually.
Yeah.
So it's not, I use the term biting, but it's not, the smoke is not biting to the point where it stands out at any point. It's in the nose, it's in the flavor. It doesn't stand out or kill you at any point.
Yeah, not at all. And that's really literally what I mean when I say balanced. In other words, all the elements are in sync. It's like a symphony. Sometimes, as Jim says, sometimes the smoke is overpowering. Sometimes the plant is overpowering, depending on what plant they're using. This is espadín, of course. Sometimes the pit roasting. Sometimes the wood that they're using. A lot of elements can overpower the other. I mean, there's lots of ways to make it. One way to make it, there's a bunch of ways to tweak it, and any of the way that you tweak it will either mess it up or present itself fully. And I'm really, I don't even want to call this a gateway mezcal, but I'm going to have to, because it's at 80 proof.
Well, I think it is a gateway mezcal, because it's not going to turn off the newbies. I mean, this is not something where the flavor profile is going to make you go, oh my God. But it isn't a gateway mezcal in the way that the flavor profile comes together. And I mean, it's a very high quality product here. It's great juice, but it's approachable in the best way.
Yes.
So, and we've had great mezcal where the smoke does stand out, but that's a good thing, because that flavor gives it a real richness and depth. This does not have anything that stands out. The complexity comes in the fact that everything is kind of sitting together the way it should. So
yeah, and including it's visually beautiful, which is rare to say in even when you look at the mezcals, a lot of them, or even tequilas, that will sheet against the glass, but the pearls and the tears.
Yeah.
And with mezcal, I always look for bubbles. I look for bubbles everywhere, but this is just visually appealing as well, which I don't say very often. With tequilas or mezcals, some of them will all react the same, but this one, you were really enamored by the way it was just sheeting and clinging.
I don't see that a lot, and I mean, you don't see that a lot, even like the bourbons that I drink, where you've spent a lot of time, it's picked up a lot of characters, doesn't hold on to the glass that way. And that could simply just be the fact that maybe that sweetness is coming from just a little bit more of the distillate, I can't even explain it, but I'm just, you see something like that and you expect, oh, that's going to be like Jello in your mouth. It's going to be,
Yeah.
it's not. It's not. The mouthfeel is, I think, exactly what it should be for the flavor profile, because then you get to taste everything.
Yeah.
You don't hold it there too long. The finish is nice. It's got a little smoke on the finish. And I'm really impressed with this.
Yeah,
And I love this bottle. I got to say, this label is killer. Absolutely.
Brand of Promise nominee, I think, in the, and I'll have to call it a gateway mezcal, but also in the packaging, it is a beautiful rendition of the Espadin spirit, of the mezcal spirit, and so well done. I'm really impressed. There's some smart cookies behind this brand, and again, thanks to Oscar Lopez for making this happen. And again, it's got everything you need to know about it on the back of the label, just everything, all description there. And as most well done artisanal mezcals will just give you everything, you know. And there's even, and like he, like,
I mean, you've got the whole thing up here with
the whole process right up in here. I'm speechless, man. This, for a gateway mezcal, this one's got a lot. There's a lot of layers, a lot of character. I tell you what, I wouldn't hesitate a second bringing that to somebody who wants to know, a newbie who wants to know what all the you know, what all the hype was about. Here, try this, you know.
And I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is, and typically I wouldn't say mezcal paired with a cigar, because you're going to have the smoke versus the smoke, and it's very hard to do. I think you could probably do one with this. I think you could maybe take a kind of a creamy Connecticut wrapper, or maybe even a Habano that's not just go down. I mean, you can't go with a real heavy Maduro, but this does not have an overpowering smoke that's going to take over the cigar. I think you could do something with this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so too. I agree. That's
nice.
Yeah, it's our take on De Los Santos, right? De Los Santos.
Been staring at this bottle on my shelf for 2 months, and it's a gorgeous bottle, and just look at it there for that long is tough.
Yeah, well, you know, that's our take on De Los Santos mezcal. Thanks again for making that happen, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm not sure if it's available in the United States yet, but it's coming. You know, as what happens very often in Tequila Aficionado, we are very fortunate that people send us stuff that isn't available anywhere else, but will be soon. So we get to break the seal on a lot of really nice agave spirits. So anyway, if you've had it, please let us know in the comments below. If you're watching us on YouTube, if you're listening to us on Anchor or on Spotify or anywhere else, just, you know, please subscribe. If you want to go to the website, you can do that too and check us out there. But whatever you do, I'm Mike Morales here in San Antonio. That gentleman out there is
Jim Johnston in Youngstown, Ohio.
You've been watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media, all of our channels. Remember to tomar sabiamente.
Sip wisely.